Hello, everybody. Hello. Okay. It is a no makeup day. I am recovering from the weekend, which was glorious. I'm going to tell you about it. And oh my gosh, I'm still so exhausted. So this weekend we had the 10th anniversary of our clergy for our synagogue. So we did a big celebration for her. That was awesome. And of course, I was the one. Hey! It was me. My dogs are barking. Hey! Shh! Stop! It was me, buddy. I knocked on the desk with my cards. Knocked on the desk, and so of course we were losing our minds. So we had the wonderful weekend celebrating our Cantor Kim. But in the midst of all that, I was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Doing Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibility Trainer certification. So I'm very excited about that because in another couple of weeks I'm going to be offering a discount rate, very, very low rate for Infinite Possibilities training access for you all to participate so that I can kind of work out my own not kinks in the system, that's not what I want to say, because what's so interesting, was so fabulous to me in spending 4 days learning all this Infinite Possibilities stuff is not just the Infinite Possibilities, but the things that I have been teaching with Unspooling Your DNA is exactly in alignment with Infinite Possibilities, which is not really a surprise. It's just the universe telling you you're on the right track. But it was so magnificently aligned that I just had to be like, okay, I need to sit down and go through this and see how this weaves together. And so I will be looking for some folks who want to go through the training process and participate. So there will be a very heavily discounted rate on that. I don't know what that's going to be yet. It might maybe be free. I don't know. I got to look at that. So that's going to be my project for this next week. And so my brain, by the time we got to 9 o'clock last night, my brain was just like, I could not absorb one more thing. It was a wonderful, amazing weekend. And then we worked in the garden today. It was made me very happy. And now we are having a major thunderstorm warning. So I have my window open. And if you're on Instagram, you can see the tree, my beautiful tree. You can see my beautiful tree blowing in the wind. So we are under a major thunderstorm warning. It's like raining a little, but the radar says that there's something coming. But with the destruction of Noah and weather services, who the heck knows what's going on out there. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get in on all this. Of course you're in. I know you're in. Now, other big news, big news. Not this weekend, but next weekend, the 17th and 18th, I am at Spirit Fest in Melbourne. So Melbourne is east of Orlando on the coast. So it's at the Melbourne Auditorium. It's an amazing group of vendors and readers and crystals and artists and just all kinds of things, oils and snacks and just amazing, wonderful, fabulous way to spend an afternoon. And so I will be doing readings at the Melbourne Spirit Fest May 17th and 18th. So not this Saturday, Sunday, next Saturday and Sunday. So very, very excited about all that. Okay, there are some important things that are going on. And I don't know about We Ride at Dawn because I'm still tired. But I will be putting out some information in the next couple of days about Spirit Fest and also about the Infinite Possibilities training. So I'm very excited for that. So I do want to share some things that I think are really important right now, and then we'll get into some cards and such. So first of all, happy Cinco de Mayo. And for those of you, I know I didn't see you all yesterday, happy May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with you. Star Wars is very big in my family. My kids are actually in the back right now watching Andor. So happy all the May things. Mother's Day is coming up this Sunday, so I won't see you all. So happy early Mother's Day to all of the mothers, grandmothers, and aunties, and all the things. Um, we are in the first quarter of the moon. Okay, so we're not to full moon. Full moon is actually next Monday, so we will be together next Monday. So that will actually be the full moon. So we're kind of in this place of, we talked a lot last week about money and manifestation and moving forward. And so as our energy comes up the circle towards the full moon, we're not ready yet to take that look around. But as we're moving into this full moon, this is going to be the full moon in Scorpio. And this is a time for releasing anger, frustration, grudges, releasing hurt, releasing pain. So anything that we can, we call it Labor Day here. Is that Mother's Day? Is that Labor Day? Is that? Yeah, I assume that's probably true because I love my kids, but damn, never need to be pregnant again. Anyway, so we have, with the Scorpio full moon, this is really this time about releasing anger and judgment and grudges and, past hurts. And, that popular saying, holding on to that kind of stuff is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. So this is a really good time. We talked a lot last week about how we have our relationship with money. And so this is a really good time to continue that process and to continue that conversation of, am I having judgment or grudges or hurt or negative feelings around money, around people with money, or people without money? Where are those places that I'm still holding on to those judgments and grudges? And so, we want to remember, one of the big things, and I try not to be political too often because, if you want politics, you can go to my personal Facebook page. It is all there. I don't make any secrets about how I feel about what's going on in different aspects of the world, and who I stand up for, which is basically everybody. I am pro-choice. I am 100 billion million % behind a woman's right to choose. I have had to walk that path. It was not easy, and it was nobody else's damn business except myself, my husband, and my doctor. And I understand for whoever, because I have, friends who don't support, and that is okay. You can have whatever viewpoint you want, okay? Where I come in, and my place where I will put a line in the sand, is if you don't want to participate in that, don't do it. If it's not right for you, God bless, go your path. Go in your own direction and go with love, okay? Period, end of story. Whether that is owning a gun, whether that is your sexual orientation, whether that is your political viewpoints, whether that is to carry a pregnancy or not carry a pregnancy, whatever that is, my problem, or whatever books you want to read, my problem is you then do not get to tell me what I can and can't do. You don't get to make a rule for someone else just because you're making a rule for you. Okay? Now, speed limits, seat belts, those things, there is a difference. Of course, we have, scientific proof that these things are important. They save lives. Okay? There are differences, and I'm certainly not going to spend our time getting into all that. The reason I'm bringing even any of this up is not to be political and not to share my personal viewpoints on abortion, but to talk about releasing things in this Saturn full moon, because when you are holding on to the judgment of, well, this person did something that I would never do, that is drinking the poison and expecting the other person to fall over dead. Okay? When we have the wherewithal to say, as light workers, as people of higher vibration, to say, this is not for me, but I support your right to walk your path, and I support your right to do what's right for you because you're not hurting anybody else. Okay? And I understand when we get into, pro-choice and pro-life, that there are people who say, well, you are hurting somebody else, and there's a science there about viability and zygotes and clusters of cells and embryos and things that are viable or not viable, and whether they are human or not human. And I will tell you what I believe, but that is, again, everyone needs to make their own decisions. But we support each other's right to walk their path. Now, that, again, safety, we're not talking about, I support your right to come into a school and start shooting it up. That is not your right. It is your right to carry a gun, a weapon, if you are licensed and intelligent about it and you have, done the training. I feel like we need to have training, and, I need to pass a driver's test to drive a car and carry insurance. So, we should have that kind of thing as well for guns. My point with this, with the Scorpio full moon, and again, I apologize for coming into a political place, but this is the way that I'm understanding to explain this. When we come into the Scorpio full moon, this is about releasing these judgments. And right now, with the hostile political climate that is global, it is not just in the United States, it is an opportunity for us to release that anger and frustration, that hostility that we are holding towards people who don't share the same beliefs that we do. And where we want to try to come to, and I am continuing to work on this, and I will continue to work on this, because if you know me personally, or if you follow me on this page and on my personal page, you will see there is a real dichotomy of the love and the light that I keep here and post here, and the what the heck is going on that is often on my personal page. And I know that I'm not alone in this. I know there are a lot of light workers that are speaking out and that are expressing themselves in ways that we hadn't before, because it is important that we are allowing our voices to be heard, because silencing our voices only brings the vibrations down and creates negativity and contempt and judgment and all these things we want to be releasing, right? So Chris says, I disapprove of what you say, but I defend to the death your right to say it. Very famous quote. Don't know who said it. Maybe Jefferson. But very famous quote about free speech. Okay, and that really is so important. So while we want to defend the person's right to say it, while we want to stand up for the things that are important to us and things that we believe in, and you don't have to agree with me, okay? You don't have to have the same viewpoints, because I also will defend your right to have your viewpoint. But what we don't want is the right to mandate how someone else lives their life, okay? And that's why we have freedom of religion and freedom of speech and these kind of things. As we are looking at releasing all of these things, this is something I want to bring you back to, because I know and this was one of the conversations of this weekend, there's a lot of light workers who are really struggling with, how do I stay in all love and light and sunshine and lollipops and raise the vibe and keep the high vibration, and then look at the news and be like, ah! Okay, so we're not alone, okay? You're not alone. I'm not alone. So it's really important for us to be able to say, there are things I agree with and there are things I don't agree with. And there are things I think that people just say because they want to say something, and it's just kind of dumb. And to be able to have the discernment to filter that stuff out. Like, I don't really think we're going to reopen Alcatraz as a prison. I think that's silly. But, to let go, and rather than having a knee-jerk anger reaction to something, to be able to say, that's so silly. And one of the things I counsel with my grief clients is, where can we find the ridiculousnly in the things that people say? Because if you've ever had a time of grief in your life, which we all have had, that probably, where we're dealing with heavy, heavy emotions, loss and pain, and someone comes up and they say something where they're trying to say something nice and trying to be supportive, and they just say the thing that rubs you the wrong way, whether it was, God just needed another angel, or some other thing that you just look at them and go, that is like not helpful. And instead of wanting to throttle the person, to look for the ridiculousness in it, to be like trying to see it from a different angle, which you've heard me say a lot. Can we try to release this anger and judgment as we come into this Scorpio full moon over this week, from this Monday to next Monday? Can we try and release some of this and allow ourselves to just see some of the ridiculousness? And so if people are closed-minded, if people are judgmental, if other people are, can we find our way back to how they say in the South, bless their heart, bless their heart. And we know there's lots of undertones to those kind of things. But to protect ourselves, to be able to have our own viewpoints, to be able to speak our mind and not feel like we don't have a voice or that our voice is not valuable. It is, and our voice It's one of my favorite songs by Alana Arian. It's I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. And I feel like it is so important that we don't lose our voice, but it is more important that we don't lose ourselves in the process, and we don't succumb to the negative emotions and the negative vibrations. So as we are coming into the Scorpio full moon in this next week, my challenge to you is, how can you speak up for what's important to you in a way that says, I defend your right to disagree with me, and I will defend my right to have my opinion. We don't mandate to someone else how they must live, but to be able to support everyone's existence and to release anger and come from a place of, well, that's just silly. Those people are silly. If they're believing, that dinosaurs and Jesus were on the earth at the same time, that might be just a little bit silly. So I don't think there's evidence to suggest that dinosaurs and Jesus were on the earth at the same time, or that the earth is only 5,000 years old. So there are things that we can release. And so this time, this Scorpio full moon is exacerbated and supported by the fact that in this month of May, Saturn, which is an action planet, Saturn is like, let's get her done, right? Saturn is a big bully of a planet and a lot of masculine energy, and Saturn is moving into Aries. So if you are someone that has Aries, a lot of Aries in your chart, where we just come out of the Aries time earlier in April, Saturn is like, let's get her done. Okay, so this energy is going to be prevalent for people as well. So, all right. I think those are the things I really wanted to make sure that we talked about. Most importantly, Spirit Fest in Melbourne in 2 weeks, and the new IP certification that's going to be, so look out for information about that. All right, so let me check with some of these great comments that are coming in here. So the quote that Chris Judd shared, I disapprove of what you say, but I defend to the death your right to say it, has its roots in a biography by Evelyn Beatrice Hall, published in 1906, and apparently this quote is attributed to Voltaire, so that's cool. Sharon Goldstein wrote something on a safe page about this, and to let go and having trouble. Yeah, I understand. So it is a really there you go. So it is important that we have an outlet, whatever that looks like for you, and regardless of what your opinions are, that you have a safe space to share your thoughts. I have suggested to some of my clients that they create a false Facebook page, or they create a page on Medium, is an online journaling, a place where I often put my blog on Medium. You can also look at something like Penzu, Penzu, which is an online journal that's password protected and only you see it. Medium and Facebook are places, if you have alternate like pseudonym profiles, where you can write whatever you want, and then unless somebody, if you're not sending out friend requests and follow requests, people are not going to find it. Okay, so there's places where we can express ourselves and not have the concern of what other people may or may not think about it. Okay, so there's lots of different places that we can do. Journaling is another very obvious and easy way as well. Okay, so I'm not sharing any of this to create drama in anyone else's life, but I do understand that there are a lot of people right now who are feeling like they have some things they need to express, and when we hold things in, we create the block in the throat chakra in that energy, and then that comes down into the heart and the solar plexus and the stomach, and we can really create sickness. And so right now we want to make sure that we are letting go of the things that we can let go of, because again, holding on to this anger and frustration and resentment, this grudge, this judge, any of these things is very ineffective, and it is not healthy for us in the long run as humans. Okay, so hi. Okay, all right. So as we move forward, again, this is this time to let go of those things that are not. And so we can also ask ourselves. This is one more thing. We can also ask ourselves. I am feeling this kind of a way about this? Is holding on to the way that I'm feeling going to help the situation? Okay? And that's a question that we can come back to over and over again, because very often I get my dander up and I feel some kind of way about a situation, and I need to stop and say, okay, let me take my breaths. Is my feeling and getting all riled up about this going to help the situation? And if it's not, I try to let it go. I breathe it out. You've seen me do this. I'll breathe it off and into my hands. Blow it away. Blow it away. Okay? And to be able to let go of those things, because then we can think a little bit more clearly to say, what can I do in this situation that can bring more light? What can I do in this situation that can bring more light? Now, sometimes bringing more light is literally just shining a light on it. Like, did you all know that this was going on? Like, Congress is debating the SAVE Act, and regardless of your feeling on the current administration, the SAVE Act is something that is going to negatively impact people across the board. And that's something that we should be standing up against, to say, no, we don't want the SAVE Act, because this is going to impact everybody from every demographic and every male, female, married, not married. Like, this is going to impact everybody, okay? So where can I shine more light? Not anger. Where can I shine more light on the situation? Okay? And so that might just be letting some folks know, hey, did you know this was going on? Okay? We don't have to get up in there and go, do you know what those idiots are doing? Okay, we don't have to be there, okay? To say, hey, do you know that this is going on? Where can we shine more light on a situation? Okay? All right, so letting go of the anger. We don't have to let go of our desire to be involved. We don't have to let go of our desire to stand up for our beliefs, but we can certainly let go of the thinking that the people who don't share our beliefs are idiots or morons or stupid or what have you. And we can certainly let go of the anger and the frustration and ask ourselves, how can we shine more light on the situation? Okay? We're not ever going to change anybody's mind by yelling at them. Okay? All right, so we've talked a bit. Let's look at our animal spirit. I felt real called to do an animal spirit today. So we've got the cat, domestic cat. It says, it's time to strike out on your own and relinquish your over-dependency on others. Oh, looky there. Okay, it is time to strike out on your own and relinquish your over-dependency on others, which means we've got to stop hanging on to the judgments of others, hanging on to be like locked into, is this okay? Am I doing what others think is, like, am I in alignment with others rather than being in alignment with myself? Okay, so that's very interesting. We've been checking in a lot with Kyle Gray and his newer Archangels deck, so we're going to grab one of those cards. Chris, thank you for helping Mariah. Welcome, Mariah. And Stacy Claxton, I see your amen. Thank you. All right. Let's get an Archangel card and see who's with us today. And we are going to also get some Malachim cards today as well. All right, so we have Gabrielle. Now, we have seen Gabrielle before. Divine emergence. It's time to be seen. Don't be afraid of your power and your gifts. Now, doesn't that just go perfectly with this cat telling us to stand out on our own? Holy fuck balls, I was talking to one of my best friends about how much I hated needing to rely on him. So this is his time to relinquish our dependence on others, to step out on our own. And Gabrielle is saying, I'm going to be right there with you, because it's time for your voice to be heard, and I'm going to put myself right with, oh, I love that, my ring light's making like a little halo on her. So this is the time to be seen. Don't be afraid of your power. Don't be afraid of your gifts. And this also is about not being afraid of your voice. Let your voice be heard. Let your voice be heard. This is absolutely a time in history for everyone to let their voices be heard. Okay? All right, we're going to do some Malachim cards. I have, we'll pull some of these out. These are the angel cards that were gifted to me by a dear friend who is from Israel. And these cards are amazing, and they are written in Hebrew and English and in Arabic. Now, I will confess that my Hebrew and my Arabic, well, I don't speak Arabic at all, and my Hebrew is Bissell, which means just a little. So this is grace, and this is chesed. Chesed. So this is grace. So grace is always important. And grace reminds us to treat others with kindness, whether we believe what they believe or agree what they agree with. So chesed is kindness, right? Loving kindness and treating others with respect. Okay, so we can let our light shine, we can let our voices be heard, but again, we can do it with kindness and compassion. How can I bring more light to the situation? And so grace fits right in there with that chesed. Chesed. This is curiosity, and so it's sacre bleu. No, sacre newt. Sharon, little help. Sacre newt. Curiosity. So sacre newt. I'm not sure. But this is second note. So this is curiosity. And curiosity is really important because curiosity reminds us that when we are coming to someone who does not agree with us, we come with compassion and an open heart. And the questions that we ask that create dialogue are not, you're stupid for thinking that, you are 100% wrong. The questions that we ask that create dialogue are based on curiosity. They're based on curiosity. So as we are coming to this place of releasing, these cards are perfect, of course. So as we're coming to this place of releasing judgment and anger and resentment, we are coming from this place of grace and curiosity. See, tell me more about that. Why is it you feel like that? Where does this information come from? And it's not attacking, we're not investigating or interrogating or anything like that. Tell me more about that. I had it right, sacred newt! Thank you. To have this place of curiosity. Tell me where this comes from. How did you come to this belief? Where did you come to this knowledge? I want to understand where this comes from within you that brings you to this conviction, to this belief, so that I can understand maybe that you had an experience or you had a friend who went through something, or that was how you were raised in your environment. So we can see that people are coming from their beliefs based on their experiences and their backgrounds. And when we can come from a place of curiosity and grace, we come from a place of kindness and compassion to say, share this with me, explain this to me. How does this belief work for you? Okay, where is this based? Chesed is also compassion, yes. So they come and loving kindness. So they come together. As always, the cards are, perfectly in alignment. So we have now the cat who is stepping out to be independent and sharing the voice, and Gabriel to remind us to share our light and our gifts, and to be reminded with the malachim, which malachim are angels. That's malach is the angel in Hebrew, so malachim is the plural. That we have curiosity and grace and coming from compassion as we are connecting with people. So let's grab, I pulled today Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle cards. I really do still feel like it's my most favorite deck. And so we have here the Star Mother, which is all about compassion. The Star Mother is all about compassion. It says, how can you mother yourself? But this is all about compassion. So as we are having compassion for ourselves, as we are connecting with people on another level, compassion for ourselves is all about releasing this judgment and anger and resentment. That is all about self-care and compassion. So we have we have Star Mother, which is reminding us to take self-care with us first. And then we have the next card is aligning your life. What is not aligned or needs to change for you right now? Where are your own needs not being met? Okay, what is it that we need to do for self-care to prioritize grace and compassion to ourselves and to release all those things that we don't need to be carrying? We don't need to be carrying the anger and resentment and the judgment of how other people are living their lives. We don't want them to judge us on how we're living our lives. Even if they agree or don't agree, they don't get to tell us how to live our lives. We don't get to tell them how they live theirs either. So we release all of this. We are prioritizing bringing in the light, and we're prioritizing getting back into that alignment of compassion and curiosity, and we are prioritizing self-care. And when we do all of that, we come to this place of reconnection with the Akasha, and we are being divinely guided. It says your guidance is divinely guided. So when we are holding on to all these other things, we are disconnecting. We're disconnecting from our heart. We're disconnecting from the divine light. We're disconnecting from Mother Earth. So when we reconnect with compassion and love and kindness, we are and having compassion and kindness for ourselves, and we can then echo that out and emanate that out to others. Now we are reconnecting as above as below with Mother Earth and with the divine light. Now we are back in that resonance. Now we are able to expand our light and to say, I don't need to hold on to those things anymore. So really important reminders as we're coming into Saturn, coming into Aries, and Scorpio coming into this full moon over this next period of time. So we will be full moon next Monday when we're together. Okay. So Chris says, talking to your friend about needing him about an hour ago. Well, that's good because I know that wasn't me. All right, so now we are ready for those individual card readings. So now we are ready for individual card readings, and you all have been very patient. And put those back. And if you are ready for your individual card reading, go ahead and put that into the chat, and we will get those put together for you. Okay? All right, Kimmy, absolutely. Belinda, of course. All right, so I see, let's see. All right, so we have Belinda first. All right, so Belinda, this card for you is Trust That Niggle. What is that thing that's wiggling inside of you that is saying to you, Belinda, where's that place that's been pushing you and you've been trying to ignore it? Synchronicities, the thing that says you're hearing it in your head. I got it. Okay, so literally today, a woman left a message on the answering machine. She left her phone number twice. Both times her number was incorrect. I dialed the number she left, wrong. I dialed the number she left, wrong. And I looked at it and I'm like, well, let me try wiggling these numbers. Nope. Okay, wrong. So let me get quiet, because I kept hearing, don't give up. I kept hearing, Belinda, that was my niggle, don't give up. So I said, okay, let me get quiet. Can you hear this? I said, okay, this number is switched with this number, called the number, correct number. When you know, okay? So Belinda, trust that niggle, okay? So if you're hearing in your head, don't give up, don't, whatever it is that you're hearing in your head, take a breath and just let it come in. Just trust it, okay? Trust it, okay? All right, Kimmy. Kimmy. Okay, Kimmy. Don't dim to fit in. So are you dimming your light, Kimmy? Are you trying to be something you're not? Are you trying to be approving, to get someone else's approval? Are you turning yourself into knots to be able to fit in where you may not belong? It may not be the space for you. So this is going to be really in alignment with releasing those things that are not serving you. So take a look at, because I was having this, this is happening a lot, okay? We have a lot of friendships that are coming up right now of people that have been in our lives for long periods of time, but people grow and change. Now, regardless of politics, people grow and change. And you, just because you've had somebody in your life for a very long time doesn't mean they're necessarily going to always be there. And so this is allowing the relationships to grow and evolve and to shift in other ways, and not feeling like just because I've been close with this person for this amount of time, I must work and twist myself in knots to keep this person close. This is telling you that you have permission to be your own person, to grow and change and evolve, and you don't need to justify that to anybody else, okay? That's where this is, Kimmy. All right, Sharon Goldstein, my favorite Hebrew interpreter. I'm so glad, Belinda, I'm so glad. Excellent. All right, let's see. Where am I? Sharon. So this is birthing a new age. Oh, I love this for you. Birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. So Sharon, this is some new wonderful things that are coming. So your job right now is to allow the evolution to happen, similarly to what you were talking about with Kimmy, but allowing evolution to happen, that there's something new that is coming into something new. It's coming into a new chapter, a new adventure. We're coming into a new phase. And so we want to put a lot of light around this. You can see there is so much light light around this, okay? And so we want to continue to love in this and to allow this to expand. This is also about soul expansion. So it does feel like, Sharon, that there's some piece that you also have been ignoring, and I know we had put some things aside because of some other things that were more pressing, but it does feel like, because I'm seeing this kind of floating back in, something that was over here that feels like it's just floating back in. So Sharon, it may be time for you to get back to, and I know you had mentioned in a comment that you were writing, it may be time for you to get back to some of the things that are about you right now, because I know there's been a lot of focus on things that were others focused in that were highly important and highly resonant, but it does feel like this thing is floating back into view, okay? And I hear that in my head as I see this kind of like this. It's interesting because if you look at sort of this floating rock pile circles, and it just seems to be floating and I hear it in my head floating back into view, okay? So I'll leave that with you. All right, Ellen, we have... Ellen, the answer is yes. Just say yes. Just say yes. Ellen, the answer is yes. Whoop, 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 whoop. I love when the yes card comes in because it's like, whew, I can make my decisions. I don't have to worry about anything. I can just follow where I'm going and know that I'm on the right track. So confirmation card for Ellen that we are going in the right direction and we are on the right track. So the card is yes for Ellen. So whatever that question was, that is feeling like, ooh, you have a trip coming up, Ellen? It does feel like there may be some travel connected with this as well. So, Stephen, I don't know if I can give you a card. Aren't you supposed to be here tomorrow? Of course I give you a card. Don't be really silly. Okay, Sharon says, I know what you mean. I'm fighting it. So, Sharon, this is what we're talking about. They're talking about don't fight it. Just allow. Okay, don't fight it. Let it float back in. It'll find its place. You know, if you've ever been like with... like I see this with my pool floaties, okay, and I know it is a silly analogy, but Sharon, I see with my pool floaties, they find I can put it over here, but they're going to find their place where they want to float, okay? So just allow it, okay? Allow that things are coming in that are going to find their level, and like if you are filling with water or something, like things find their level, right? If you're pouring from one cup to another cup, something like that. And so I hear this in my head about finding the level. So just allow the level, okay, for Sharon. All right, Stephen, yes, I know I'm going to see you tomorrow, and that's lovely. You still get a card. So this is answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? And knowing our previous conversations, this feels like the perfect card for you as usual. What is your soul calling you to do? Because it does feel like there's, this is like a deep exhale that it just came out of me, is this feeling of like, like ready for the next thing, ready for the next chapter, ready for the next steps. So, and it's interesting because it does feel like there's, we have talked about this as well, because it just feels like there's a move for you as well. But this feels different, but I have this like a tightness that's here in my chest, and it just feels like I want to just exhale. But it does feel like I'm ready for the next steps. So this is answering the call, okay? And it says, what is your soul calling you to do? So that may be a thing for you to think about before we meet up tomorrow. So exactly how you feel right now. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. We know the cards are always listening. They're always paying attention to us. So we have Miss Chris. She, them. We have trust your path. If you knew you would be supported, what would you do? Trust your path. Also, do want to clarify, these cards have no numbers. So I know I often call out the numerology of things. These cards have no numbers. So Chris Judd, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? And I'm going to leave this, like literally, I'm not even going to elaborate on this because you and I have had several recent conversations about believing that you are supported and how would you go forward if you knew that you were. And so this card is 100% a confirmation card for you as well. Stacy Clarkston Applegate. Okay, awesome. Okay, we agree, we understand about moving. All right, fantastic. That's great. Okay. Stacy. So this card for you, these cards also do not go upside down. So if you see me flipping the cards, these are not cards that go upside down. So Stacy, this is the great gathering. It says it's all coming together. Those intuitive hits that you're getting, you are connecting and aligning with your soul tribe. So Stacy, this is really about trusting yourself, trusting that guidance that you're getting. And this is really so much about trusting the path that you're being led to. This is really about trusting the niggle, trusting yourself as you're going forward, trust that you're being led into the right place, so you're being led into new groups that are going to be lifting and supporting you. So Stacy, this is really about allowing yourself to continue to expand. This is very much about a soul expansion. So this is a lot about allowing yourself to expand, okay? You are being led in the right direction to kind of break open your heart so that new things can come in. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for Stacy. All right, so we have Maria. Okay, awesome. And then I think Maria might be the last for right now. All right, so we have Maria. Okay. Maria, this is boundaries. Where do you need to establish some better boundaries, Maria? So this is boundaries. So this is really making sure that you're standing in truth for yourself and you're not standing holding up someone else. You know the thing about putting the oxygen mask on yourself first before you're putting it on someone else? So this is this important part of like making sure you're taking good care of yourself, and that we can have boundaries without being mean. Okay, we can say, I love this person, I love them over there. I don't need to have this person in my direct life or direct vicinity. Even if I, can still love them, I know that it's not a great plan for me to be around them. And so, Maria, this is talking about just setting those boundaries. Sometimes we have loved ones, we have people that we have to be around, so we can set those boundaries as well to say, you know what, even with my own mom, I love my mom, but there are certain topics that we do not discuss. Like, it's just off limits. I don't even want to hear about it. And, for her too. So she's got boundaries, I've got boundaries. And it makes our relationship much more genuine because we can talk about the things that are safe things for us to talk about with love and affection, and we can really be more authentic with each other. So yes, I do, Stacy. I'll talk about that in a second. So for Maria, this is really about looking at where do you need to set some boundaries. Where is it that you need to put that line in the sand that is right for you? Okay, so take some time to think about, okay, where do I need to put that boundary for myself, and then to be able to say, okay, how is that going to affect the people around me? We can tweak a boundary. We can, and again, we don't have to put a guard at the gate goes, who's going to pass? We can have a soft boundary that is firm for ourselves, but has flexibility or a gate in it, okay? Having a boundary doesn't mean we're told everybody to F off. That's not what a boundary is. A boundary says this is what I will and will not do. One of the things that I also teach a lot is about the words that we use when we're working with boundaries, to be able to say, our inclination very often, especially for women, is to say, oh no, I can't. And then that just opens right up to, well, of course you can. And so rather to say that isn't in alignment with my schedule, and there's not, I don't have that availability, I'm not able to do that, that's not in alignment. And short sentences, because sometimes we have this feeling where we feel like we need to defend ourselves, and to be able to say, you know what, I don't need to defend myself to others, to be able to say, this does not work with my schedule, period, end of story. It does not work with my schedule. I'm sorry, I'm already booked. I try really hard for my own thing to say, not to say I'm sorry, to just say I have already commitments that day. Okay, so small sentences, short sentences. All right, you are welcome, Stacy. I hope the woe was a good one. Okay, Sharon and Chris are forging new pathways. And Chris has answered the question about mediumship. Thank you for sharing that. I knew you would. So yes, I am, for those of you who are unaware, I am a psychic, a medium, a hypnotherapist, and also a grief educator. So I'm also a teacher of manifesting and mediumship and other things. And I also do lead a women's group. And I am now a certified trainer for the Infinite Possibilities program through Mike Dooley. So very exciting to have all these different things. So if there's something that you are looking for, that you feel free to message me, Stacy. I'm happy to talk with you. And Chris is my contact manager, so she can also help you as well. So all right, so we're going to pull one more card for the collective. I always like to finish it out with a card for everyone. Maria, you are so welcome. I hope that resonates for you and makes sense. And this card is protection. It says, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. So this is reminding us when we set those boundaries, we're calling back our power, right? Because very often we have this power that we have given away inadvertently or unintentionally, unknowingly. So we say, I'm going to call back my power. When we set in those boundaries, we say, I'm calling back my power. Now remember where we started. We started with the cute little kitten that says, it's time for us to step into our own light and step into our own voices. And then we have Archangel Gabriel, who also is saying, let your light shine, let your voice be heard. And then we have this reminder that we are always protected. We always have the spiritual counsel. We always have our angels, guides, loved ones in spirit. When I start any session, whoever I'm working with, any session, my personal prayer that goes at the beginning of every single session is angels and guides, loved ones in spirit, ascended masters, and loved ones in spirit. And I will repeat loved ones in spirit 3 times. So ascended masters, angels and guides, loved ones in spirit, loved ones in spirit, loved ones in spirit. I say this literally 3 times, and then I will say the rest of my prayer. Please help me to connect from this world to the next, to bring forward information for whoever is sitting in front of me. But the reason that I say loved ones in spirit 3 times is because our loved ones in spirit are some of our closest vibrationally and most powerful friends who can help us be on our spirit team. They're the ones who are giving us the niggles. Yes, we have angels and guides, absolutely. But those who are closest in vibration to us are the ones who are our loved ones. Okay, they're not angels, they're not guides, they're not from some other realm. These are people who vibrated here on earth as humans, in human bodies, in human forms. And now they're vibrating in a different way. They are still our loved ones. They are just not in human form anymore. And even if we had challenging relationships with them when they were here, when they've come to the other side, there's part of them that still is vibrating as they're learning and ascending and figuring out, doing their life review. There's that part of them that says, even below all the other stuff, there is love. Okay, so for many of the folks who I have on the other side, they are my first go-to, not just for mediumship to say, hey, go find me that person's grandma, but to be able to say, how can you help me with this situation, conundrum, thought, whatever it is. Those are the people I'm reaching to first, because the people who loved us so much when they were alive, that love doesn't go anywhere. That love doesn't change. So we have this protection around us all the time, okay? And it is only blessed and expanded by angels and guides and ascended masters, okay? But our loved ones are the ones who are the closest vibration to us. So, all right, so speaking of loved ones, you are loved ones. You are so very loved. Always remember how very loved you are. Chris, thank you so much for sharing the web links and the pages as well. Please, if you're not on my email list, please make sure you come to just send, either go through the website or DM me and send me your email address, and let's get you on the email list. And remember that I will be at, not this weekend, but next weekend at Spirit Fest in Melbourne. It is a great, the Spirit Fest events are great events. It's so much fun to go and hang out and see all the different vendors. Come join, come visit, come be with us. And I will see you next Monday back here for the full moon. Always remember how very much you are loved. Mwah. Thank you for spending some time. We'll see you next week.